Welcome in 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. I got to tell you what today, folks. I'm going to do something I've never, ever, ever, ever done on this show. We've had 200 and some 80 odd episodes. Religion, politics, what's going on in the world is typically something I stay away from, but I just cannot do it anymore. I have become absolutely crazy about things. And today is the day that we're going to lay it all out there. So let me just start with this.
Hey guys, look, I've taken Sean's camera equipment as we are taking over his podcast. Whew. Seriously, check this out.
Sean Welsh has no idea what hit him.
Yeah.
We just hijacked Sean Welsh's show, everybody. Welcome to 5 minutes, maybe 10, with Joe and Roger from Service Drive Live. Everybody, thanks so much. We are very excited to be here.
Absolutely.
And one of the reasons we're excited to be here is because we're looking forward to being social in September in Madison when so many different people from the car business get together and they talk about, we used to talk about social media a lot, but now I think being social has grown so much.
Yeah, I mean the automotive field is turned into such a social space, that we have to expand with it.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that because here, I'm not a social media guru. You have the wrench.
I'm dabbling.
You're dabbling.
Yeah,
you're a dabbler, right? How's it feel to dabble?
It's great. It's exciting. It's scary. But it's really really fulfilling. I really enjoy it.
Good. Yeah, and I'm glad. I think your wrench talk with Roger, is that what you call it? I think it's fantastic. Roger goes around and interviews people throughout the dealership. He holds a giant crescent wrench in his hand, probably about this big, and it's great. And he's dressed and he's just like a newscaster, right?
Yeah, enjoying myself.
But with your straight face delivery, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. But one of the things I want to talk about, and we're going to do this SDL style, whereas there is no script, there's no bullshit. Oh, excuse my language. But and we are vulgar every once in a while on SDL as well. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, Roger, was how being social. We talk about being social on social media all the time, but I think you can't be social. You can't be successful on social media
Absolutely.
if you're not socially open in the dealership as a whole, meaning silos, meaning the service department doesn't want to talk to the variable department. And Sean's a variable guy, so we always got to be careful what we say around the snowflake.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that you're open to that. What are your thoughts on doing that? What are your thoughts on making sure that that your team is social? Well, first of all, let me stop. What do you do?
I am a fixed ops director for our an auto group out here in Elgin, Illinois.
Okay.
So I'm in charge of some service and parts departments out here.
Okay.
But to answer your question, it's gonna be a moot point if we're projecting a social environment online, and then the people show up to our stores and we don't have any social interactions amongst ourselves at our dealerships between our departments. Like you said, these silos that, I don't talk to anybody in sales, so I don't know how to introduce anybody or who to introduce when a service customer wants to buy a new car.
Could you imagine? Hey, guess what? I saw this TikTok, and I saw Roger with a big old wrench in his hand. I'd like to talk to Roger. Is he around? And then somebody in the sales department says, "No, that guy. Yeah, he's in the back."
That's it. That's it. The culture has to be a social environment, a welcoming environment, an environment where all the departments work together. In a situation that you, like you said, will make the whole store more successful.
So, by the way, my name's Joe Chambers. I am with a Toyota store out in Elgin Toyota. I've run big stores, I've run small stores, I've run groups, and right now it's a pretty successful Toyota store, and we are growing. And I also host Service Drive Live, and Service Drive Live is on Sundays, and it's a shameless plug, and we want to make sure you get on there. variable. We have general managers, we have vendors, we have service guys, we have parts guys, we have techs, we have all of it. I believe that the relationship between the front end of the store and the back end of the store, and I'm going to skip parts for a minute because nobody really gives a shit about parts, right? But I'm kidding. Um, I think that front end and back end relationship is so key to the overall success of the store. And this is something we're going to get into a lot more at Being Social, where we have a panel with our dear friend Kate Borowski. But what do you, how do you see that relationship? Is it symbiotic? Because a lot of general managers growing up on the variable side, they're like, service is the stepchild. They're the redheaded stepchild. And all too often, we see ourselves as an underdog, that redheaded stepchild. So we just, we get defensive. We put up walls. We do all that crap.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, it's always been two different planets, sales and service, but I think now more than ever, the social aspect has to be forefront of everything because we're symbiotic. Sales might sell the first car, service is going to sell the next two or three, so we have to have a good relationship. There has to be great processes in place and there has to be good communication. And you don't get any of that without leading with that social aspect of human nature.
Well, and it's even worse now, right? Because you can just go to the auction and buy a primo used car and just have it delivered in your department, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just happens all the time, right?
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. The acquisition of used cars is so difficult right now that if you're not utilizing your service department, if the used car department isn't utilizing the service department to get the used cars that are driving in the lane, those cars that you actually know something about, those cars that you have history on, those cars that you can actually talk to the owner about, that are in the shop, you can get information on them. If they're not doing it, shame on the used car department. But I'm going to go one over though. Shame on service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shame on service. Why aren't you bringing customers up to the showroom? And I had a conversation, more than one conversation, with the Titan himself, Michael Barrich, about this very thing, right? And he's a big proponent of it. I listen to All Things Used Cars with David Long, and they do a great job of acquiring vehicles. And I think that's part of that social interaction, bringing it back. It's part of that social interaction that we need with them, and that social interaction can bear fruit for the used car department. And what does that fruit bear? That's money, right?
Money, generate profit, absolutely.
What's your recon time on a used car?
Like 4 days.
Okay, 4 days.
The industry-wide goal is 3.
Yeah. So you're a little behind.
Yeah.
Just a little behind, guys. A
little bit. So I definitely have some things to work on, but that's also part of the social aspect of it. I'm open with it, and I know I got to work on that, and I know it's something that we're chasing.
Yeah, and I'm jesting about 4 days. I mean, the time to line. I think the industry goal is 3 days. I think industry average is 5, by the way. And but that time to line is crucial. I'm about 3, I think. But you never know, right?
Yeah.
You never know. And we sell a lot of used cars, and we got a big used car department, but sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes that communication can be a struggle. And it's not just a struggle with, the used car manager doesn't know what the hell he's doing or anything like that. That's not it. And I think we need to understand that in service. And nothing in this business is going to change unless we do it.
Yeah.
And if we want to bitch and moan and sit around and have wait for variable to change. Variable is more fixed than
yeah,
right.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, they're entrenched in their ways.
In their processes
right?
where fixed is always changing.
Yeah.
To adapt to changing technology.
We're evolving, right?
Absolutely.
So we need to evolve to be more social in the dealership. We need to evolve to break down those silos. And it's let's break it down even more into just the service department. Because you have silos within the service department. You have your service advisors and your technicians.
Porters and parts.
Parts. All right. Anyway, you got any silos? Well, you might not, but you've certainly been in stores or walked into stores where there have been some significant silos between between the service advisors and the technicians. What's a key component to breaking down that, to getting those guys to actually be social with each other, to socialize?
I can tell you it's understanding. Understanding what an advisor goes through from a mechanic's point of view, what a mechanic goes through being a service advisor. A lot of times it's easy for a service advisor to promise a car at the end of the day when they don't know what the technician has on their plate. Or the technician telling the advisor, hey, I'll get it done when I get it done, when the advisor is having the customer needing to go out of town. It's the understanding of the philosophies, the processes, and the situations that everybody goes through. Without that understanding, it makes social being very hard.
So how do you force that sociability?
You train in the other departments, in the other sections of your departments, and in what they have to go through. Once there's understanding, you'll get communication, and then the social part of it will come with it as
Okay.
as an
Yeah,
output.
I agree. I agree with that. And I mean, techs are pretty entrenched, right?
Absolutely.
Techs are pretty entrenched. They're in their zone. Half of them are grumpy old guys named Butch,
Absolutely.
and
Working in 100-degree heat.
yeah, and with their knuckles beat up and their
Yeah.
backs hurting and everything like that. And the advisors are humping their leg to get these cars out a little faster,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't work. So if you can increase that understanding, a little bit of cross empathy, if you will,
Absolutely.
and the techs have no idea what it's like to actually talk to a customer.
None.
When Karen walks through the door, it's a problem,
Yeah.
right? And the advisors just some of the advisors pick up the phone like they're talking to an extended warranty company or something, and yeah, and they can't talk to Karen because they're busy, so it's ready for the next guy,
Yeah.
right? So it's tough. You got to have that cross empathy going on and that understanding between the techs and the advisors, and I think that's up to leadership to do it. Again, it's coming back to leadership, and nothing is going to change that until we change that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's a win you've had in in the social aspect of the dealership, whether it's variable and fixed, whether it's service and parts, or in some barrier that you broke down that you're now social. And again, Sean, I'm sorry, we're using this term pretty loosely, but I think it really applies here.
Oh, absolutely. Now I have service advisors being involved in speaking to customers outside of the dealership, being more
Oh,
social.
yeah, okay, let's
Just
go.
so,
Let's get into
so a
that.
great story is, I sent a service advisor. I didn't send them. They were at lunch at a restaurant nearby, and they sat down next to a couple of guys from a construction company, and he heard them talking about where they were having their car serviced. It wasn't working out. It was a huge problem.
It wasn't Toyota,
It
was it?
wasn't a Toyota store.
Okay.
No. So my service advisor introduced himself, said, "Hey guys, here's my boss's business card. Give him a call. He'll make sure however many cars you have, we'll get it taken care of." With that, I get a phone call with a landscaping company that wants 8 cars serviced with us, with a huge recall and maintenance, as long as we can get it done within the next week.
8 cars, ladies and gentlemen.
And
8 cars. And that's 8 new VINs that
yeah,
you never had before, right?
yeah, and all from an advisor introducing themselves, saying, "Hey, we're a better option. My name is so and so. We think you guys should really, come to our store. We're nearby also."
So does that, and we'll wrap this up with this because that's such a great story. So do you think when those construction guys, those landscapers, when they're in their lunch hour sitting under the shade tree and they're scrolling through Instagram or whatever, or the boss is doing something on his, doing something on his off time, and he's scrolling through, TikTok or whatever, and they run across Roger and Wrench Talk. How much more powerful is that message
It,
now?
it, it correlates everything we're working on. It
Yeah,
brings social to the forefront of everything we're working on.
that's fantastic, man.
Absolutely.
Great job. Roger, any closing thoughts?
I just want to tell you, it's hard to get started being social. Sometimes it's out of our element, but getting started is the hardest part, and I tell you, it gets easier after that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate everything. Sean, thanks for the opportunity to hijack
Yeah,
your
thanks,
program. And we look forward to being social. Get in there. It's in September. And it is in Madison. SDL is going to be prominent on stage. We're going to be doing a live SDL program. We are going to be incorporating the audience, and there's going to be tons and tons of brilliant minds there. I was there last year. Roger was there last year, and we weren't going
Great
to miss.
time.
We were not going to miss it this year. All right, great networking and great being social. Thanks,
Looking forward
everybody.
to seeing everybody.
Bye now.